We've seen countless Omnitrix variants in the Ben 10 universe, but they weren't all created equal. While some were just played for laughs, others had features that even surpassed Ben Prime's Omnitrix. So, what would a list look like if we rank the Omnitrix versions from weakest to strongest? Today, we've listed the most powerful Omnitrix versions we've seen in the Ben 10 Omniverse series just for you. Before we forget to support me and the channel, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. If you're ready, let's jump right into it. Number 10. The Argitrix. This was the Omnitrix possessed by the character known as Argit in an alternate timeline. In this universe, Argit got the Argitrix from Azimuth, who sold it to him to pay off his old gambling debts. Thus, the Argitrix gave him full access. When you think about it, we can assume this device granted its user the ability to transform into a vast number of alien life forms. However, since we only saw the Argitrix in a single scene, we honestly don't know its true potential. The concept of the Argitrix was basically just a one-off joke. That's why I put this Omnitrix at the bottom of the list. Number 9. The Zombitrix. This watch was the version used by Benzaro. The Zombitrix, just like the other Omnitrix versions, contained DNA samples of many aliens. However, because Benzaro's universe, himself, and his Omnitrix were infected by a virus, he couldn't transform into any non-undead aliens. He could only use inner system aliens to their full potential. If Benzaro used any of the other aliens, they would become zombified, weakened versions of themselves. So technically, this device might have a lot of alien DNA just like the other variants. But unfortunately, the number of aliens Benzaro could actually transform into was extremely limited. Furthermore, this device had a lot of issues. For example, while other watches transformed Ben Tennyson into an alien properly, Benzaro's transformations with this Omnitrix were highly unstable. Number 8. The Negatrix. Negatrix was the name of the device used by Nega Ben, the most laid-back and apathetic Ben Tennyson variant we've seen in the series. Yes, I said laid-back and apathetic, because even as the guy was being destroyed by clockwork, he just said, whatever, and didn't fight back in any way. Given that he has an Omnitrix similar to the other variants, he obviously has access to a lot of aliens. But like I said, the character was so inactive that he only transformed into Gutrot throughout the entire series. Because of this alone, we never got to see the Negatrix's true potential. Still, we can safely assume it's much better than the Argitrix and the Zombitrix. Number 7. Gwen 10's Omnitrix. Of course, not all the Omnitrix users we saw in the series were guys. One of those users was Gwen Tennyson. In an alternate timeline, Gwen was the one who found and used the Omnitrix. This watch was exactly like the one our Ben Prime found when he was 10. Even though Gwen Tennyson had just found the watch, she was able to use it quite effectively in the series. Looking back, we saw that she had access to quite a few aliens. However, all the aliens she transformed into were strictly the forms we saw in the classic series. While we don't know for sure, some aliens that are unlocked in other Omnitrices might be locked in this one. Still, because Gwen 10 used her watch correctly and effectively throughout the series, I think she deserves to be in this spot. Number 6. The Hero Watch. The Hero Watch was the Omnitrix version used by Ben 23 in his own universe. This watch also looked just like the classic Omnitrix, but the biggest difference with Ben 23 was that he had far more aliens than Gwen 10 and the 10-year-old version of Ben Prime. Although we don't know how he managed this in the series, even though Ben 23's Omnitrix was relatively new, it already featured many of the new aliens that Ben Prime had in the Omniverse series. Seeing as he had way more aliens than his peers and his watch worked flawlessly, Ben 23 possessed a much stronger device than Gwen 10 and the other variants further down the list. Number 5. Bad Ben's Omnitrix. Bad Ben was undoubtedly the variant that resembled our Ben Prime the most out of all the evil Ben Tennyson variants. The look and design of his Omnitrix were almost identical to Ben Prime's watch. Just like the other variants, this character had access to many aliens and could perform all his transformations correctly and effectively. Also, unlike the other variants, Bad Ben was exceptionally good at close combat. Because we never saw the full potential of his watch, we don't exactly know its maximum power, but it was definitively very strong. Number 4. The Power Watch. Hailing from a post-apocalyptic world, this Ben Tennyson variant was named Mad Ben, and he was a feared, dangerous warlord in his own dimension. His Omnitrix was called the Power Watch, and he was an incredibly evil guy who only used the device for his own gain. Because this variant was raised by Maltruant and Vilgax, he was exceedingly ruthless. As for his Omnitrix, the watch had a highly savage design, just like him. We also know his watch contained the DNA of many aliens, much like the other variants. Throughout the series, we witnessed Mad Ben using every transformation exactly as he intended and properly. He even managed to defeat Ben 23 and Ben Prime. I wanted to put Mad Ben in this spot because, unlike the other variants, he used his watch much more actively. Number 3. Ben Prime's Omnitrix. This Ben Tennyson variant from the main universe we follow, aka Ben Prime, possessed a completed Omnitrix, as we all know. Even though Ben Tennyson often made this device look bad throughout the series, in the finale, he admitted he was wrong about it. We know very well that Azimuth fixed his past mistakes with every new device, ultimately giving Ben the absolute best version of the Omnitrix. Essentially, the Omnitrix actually had a mind of its own. Whenever Ben Tennyson ended up in a dire situation, the watch would protect him to keep him from harm. Furthermore, while we don't know if the other variants' watches had these features, Ben Prime's watch had dozens of modes and functions. Of course, all these features made Ben Prime much stronger than the other variants like him, but he certainly wasn't invincible. Number 2. The Ultimatrix. This watch, used by Albedo in the Omniverse series, actually wasn't like the Ultimatrix he used previously. This device was essentially a DNA stabilizer, balancing out Albedo's corrupted DNA structure, and allowing him to stay in any alien form he wanted for as long as he wanted. On top of all this, it had a key ability that the other variants lacked: ultimate forms. Frankly, this feature gave him an edge over all the Ben Tennysons, even our Ben Prime. That's because ultimate forms, unlike their normal states, were far more dominant and powerful. Plus, since Albedo had deep knowledge about all of his aliens, he managed to use each one optimally. He essentially possessed an unbeatable power, but because Albedo was incredibly egotistical and constantly underestimated his opponents, he lost many times in the series. Still, from a technical and hardware perspective, Albedo was seriously overpowered. Number 1. The Biomnitrix. The Biomnitrix is a device developed by Ben 10,000 in the Ben 10 Omniverse series that creates hybrid forms by combining the DNA of two different aliens. This granted its user the ability to utilize both the alien variety offered by the Omnitrix and the unique powers born from these fusions. By using the abilities of both aliens simultaneously, the hybrids created much stronger and more effective forms. For instance, combining a fast alien with a strong one resulted in a form superior in both speed and strength. This gave Ben 10,000 the advantage of developing more flexible and potent battle strategies. When you look at it, while the original Omnitrix and the Ultimatrix only offered a transformation into a single alien form, the Biomnitrix allowed the abilities of two aliens to be merged. Ben 10,000's experience and maturity also maximized the device's potential, making him a far stronger hero than the other Ben Tennyson variants. Alright my friends, today we've ranked the power levels of all the Omnitrices we've seen in the Ben 10 Omniverse series, and I hope you enjoyed our video. For more videos like this, let's not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell. Until next time in another video, take great care of yourselves.